2 weeks, I'm going to find an empty building. I'm going to put a ring in there. I'm going to give you a referee. But when it's over, it is over. Do you understand me? Both of you. When it is over, it is over. 2 of you will walk into the building when I find one. 1 of you will walk out, and it's done. I promise you that if it continues after that, I heard you both say that this place isn't big enough for the 2 of you. Well, it is. Because if it continues on after that, then neither of you will be here. And you won't have to worry about being the heart and soul of NXT, because NXT will carry on without you.
And welcome back to the War Report. I'm your host, Murjani Cyrus. As always, I'm joined by Cyrus, who, and everybody should be in the damn house, not going anywhere, flattening the curve. What is this, like week 2 self-quarantine, Cyrus?
This is week 2, and I think I'm starting to lose it. This shit sucks, man. Like, I miss going outside.
I do too. Well, I mean, yesterday I went for a walk. It was cool. It was also kind of eerie as well. Like, I felt like it was kind of like Walking Deadish, because I was walking, and the one person that I did see, we kind of looked at each other and like went on opposite sides of the street, because you got to keep social distance, right? So yeah, I like saw a couple people. Apparently, in my development over the weekend, people were having parties, and there was a whole bunch of warnings that happened. I don't know why people are still partying at this point, but please flatten the curve. The soonest that we could do this, the soonest we could kind of go back to some sort of normalcy. Please.
Yeah, because I can't handle this no more, man. This sucks.
All right, so we got some breaking news here. I woke up, we both woke up early because we're recording this on a Friday, and you'll probably hear this in a couple hours. But I woke up, and when I woke up, I did a little Peloton class. It's free for 90 days if you need to move while you're stuck in the house. And lo and behold, the Talk Is Jericho podcast was up with Brodie Lee. And I took some notes down, and I had a hunch that he was going to say some stuff about his WWE run. So here was some.
What would make you think that?
I feel like that's like the.
It's in the AEW contracts, man. Like, you got to do the Talk Is Jericho, and then you have to like sound at least a little upset about your WWE departure.
Yeah, I mean, Moxley did it.
Matt Hardy did it.
A little. Matt Hardy did it, and now Brodie Lee did it. So here's a couple things. Apparently, the plan after WrestleMania 35, he was supposed to be Sami Zayn's heater. That fell through, and then he was basically done after that. He said that he went home and he talked to his wife, and she's like, if you don't want to be there, then just don't be there. Then he actually praises Vince. Like, he says, like, he had a good... Well, he had 2 20-minute conversations with him, and they talked like humans. And he kept on... Vince asked him, do you want more money? Do you want to push? And he's like, no, I just want to go. And apparently, when he asked for his release, a lot of people were asking for their releases. And then allegedly, Hunter said, we can't release you. It's going to make it like people are jumping off a sinking ship. Then he said that he wanted to wrestle in New Japan. So he went to Hunter, and Hunter allegedly said that he would get it done for him, and then he heard nothing about that. From his understanding, and this is just opinion from him, that WWE was going to buy New Japan. Another notable thing was that he said that in 2018, Vince went up to him and Rowan and showed him a picture of Demolition, and he basically wanted them to come back as the 2018 version of Demolition.
I think that would have went over well.
You think? You think so?
Yeah.
So basically, like,
I think
it
would have went over well.
What do you think about what Brodie Lee? You know, do you think that Brodie Lee would have worked the Sami Zayn's heater?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's working out for Nakamura and Cesaro. Even though, you know, they didn't really need a heater. They got one though. I think it would have worked out. Like, Sami Zayn is a character. Like, whatever, like, however they would have went about it, I don't know, because I think the Artist Collective stuff is, like, really great. I don't know what their you know, name could have possibly been, but I think it would have I think it would have worked out for him. We probably could have seen, like, him versus Braun, which would have been cool, or just him versus Nakamura, which would have been really cool. There's a lot of possibilities there. You know, in terms of, you know, him talking, you know, with Vince one-on-one and being like, you know, I just want to leave. And it's just like, all right, if you want to leave, then I'm not going to put you on the show, which is what we got, basically. Like, there's no surprise there. And then, like, you know, what Hunter said, like, it looks like, you know, it's a sinking ship, which, you know, a lot of people were asking for the release at the time. Revival, Ty Dillinger, Hideo Itami, you know, just like, even like people like TJ Perkins and stuff like that, you know. I get it, like, them trying to save face, like, whatever, they're a company, you know, so I'm not surprised there. And then I think it's a little weird that he was just like, yeah, I think they might buy New Japan. That's a little weird, especially when they do more stuff. They've done more stuff with Noah. You know, like, the WWE relationship with Noah is definitely there. I wouldn't have been surprised if Hunter didn't pull some strings for him to, like, show up at Noah or something. But, you know, he just had to choose New Japan. I heard some stuff as well that
breaking news, we got a scoop.
He was supposed to go back to he was going to go back to NXT and be Leo Rush's heater. You know, after Leo Rush had his, you know, kind of like
he did mention that on the podcast too, that, like,
yeah,
if they offered him to go back to NXT, he said,
which they did.
Yeah, he said that he'd be fine with that. He'd put people over. He just wanted to wrestle as a single star.
Mm-hmm. He was supposed to come back and you know, work as Leo Rush's heater, which I don't think I don't think that would have really worked. I think because now that the cruiserweight title is basically like another mid card belt for NXT, so I don't think if Leo Rush was in the North American title picture, I would have been like, yeah, that probably would have worked out. But since the Cruiserweight Championship, you know, basically became the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, I think Leo Rush is okay as a solo star. But yeah, he just wanted to do solo stuff, and that's great. I think AEW.
Well, I think it's funny because he's in a group in AEW.
Yeah, right. I want to be pushed as a you know, as a single star, and then you get put into probably the largest faction, the largest faction in AEW, and you're not getting any singles matches.
Well, he got one this week. We'll have to see.
Oh, he got one this week? Shit, I missed it.
No, he had basically like a squash match this week. RIP, you know.
Whoever the hell.
No, it's QT Marshall, man.
Oh, whoever the hell.
You don't got love for QT Bush?
Absolutely not.
We praise
No
him
love for
on this
QT.
show. Well, I have. I can't say.
Well, I like, you know, when your debut in the Cody match was basically, you know, it didn't do it for me. I'll put it in a nice way. And then, you know, your next match is, you know, A-okay. You know, that doesn't mean, you know, I'm gonna give you the props all the time. Like,
Yeah, true. Just a couple other notes. He did speak about him and Vince talking about him having a southern drawl and basically having that. Yeah, basically because he's like, I'm from Rochester, New York. Like, I'm somewhat eloquent. Like, why am I speaking in a southern accent?
Yeah, I've definitely heard the story of Vince being obsessed with like the southern accent thing, and that's for a long time why I thought, you know, he just wasn't gonna, like, you know, they weren't doing anything with him at all because Vince was just like, he can't do a southern accent, and I was just like, I don't think the southern accent would have worked for him, honestly. I think it just would have been another.
Remember that when he walked into the office, he's like, "I'm a team player." I'm like, I don't think this is his voice. Like,
yeah, he tried hard there. I don't know. I think if he would have like tried a southern accent, or, you know, did like Vince even, like, you know, try to provide acting classes for him or something? But I think it just would have been up there with bad accents, like, you know, Lana's Russian accent that kind of just goes in and out, you know?
yeah, she still does that. I don't know why like, the jig is up. Like, we know that you're not Russian at this point. Like, you're with Bobby Lashley still. Like, ship has sailed.
And like not even like with Total Diva stuff, like, you know, it's just in general that your accent kind of just like fades in and out. And you know what? It's hard to do it's hard to do accents, but, you know.
Well, imagine like watching Total Divas and then hearing Lana have that accent. Like, you're still in character here.
Hey man, if she was practicing outside of the ring, I would applaud her. She'd probably be a lot better at it.
Well, I mean, as long as it takes her from doing TikTok videos.
Everybody's doing TikTok videos, man. I woke up this morning, I saw Shauna doing a TikTok video, and I was just like, man, people are too bored.
Well, we all got like celebrities are.
There's just too much time.
We're all like bored, and we have all this time on our hands, so we're just all doing TikTok. Well, I'm not doing it. I'm not on TikTok, but apparently Lana is. You know.
Just the worst dancer.
Couple more points before we move on. He initially pitched Vince McMahon that he wanted to be a collector. He said that he's into serial killers and stuff like that. He wanted to collect something from each person.
Oh Lord!
So like, and then he also wanted to be like a smart monster, kind of like Bruiser Brody-ish. And then they kind of cut the knees off to that. Also, he said that he called Mark Carrano 15 times, and then he texted him, and then he saw that, you know, Sean Spears did the whole Twitter thing and then got his release, and that's why he did it, because he thought that they were going to release him then.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, like, Vince called him, and he said, for business reasons, I can't let you go. And then that's when the whole New Japan thing happened. Then Daniel Bryan called him, and that's why you saw him on TV, like, is the mystery of who attacked Roman Reigns. And then, like, it fell apart, and he's like, I just want to leave.
Yeah, I definitely think I'm surprised Luke Harper didn't play a part in, you know, the who attack Roman Reigns thing. But I think once that Eric Rowan clone stuff came out, like, that's when it was just, you know, just was it Eric Bischoff at the time? Just funny Eric Bischoff writing, and I, you know, after the Eric Rowan lookalike, I don't think like that story was really going to go anywhere after, and, you know, Eric Bischoff would like later leave after that episode, or you know, just that segment, and then, you know, they just never spoke about it again.
I mean, to round this all out, good for him. He said that, he wanted to do some independent movie roles. He can do that now. For some reason, WWE wouldn't let him do that. And now in the AEW deal, he can work independent dates if he wanted to. And obviously he said his aspiration is to work for New Japan. Whenever that starts again, you could see him going there. I mean, good for, you know what? If he is happy and this is what he wants to do, good for him. Good for him. He
is I'm an adult, I definitely know what it's like to, not be happy at a job or something like that. So I'm not going to knock him for, leaving and then, wanting to do other stuff. What he's doing on AEW, I'll criticize, but him making that move, it's just business things. It's stuff that you wanted to do to make you happy. I'm surprised that, during his, just like his disappearance, they never had him work Evolve or anything like that. I think if he wanted to really work independent dates, I definitely think he could have been really a part of Evolve. Yeah,
it's gonna be one of those mysteries that we're not gonna get the answer to because he's
Cause I just think it's so weird that WWE does definitely have a lot of ties to. They have ties to indies, they have Progress. They have a working relationship with Progress, a sort of understanding with Noah. They have the Evolve stuff for sure. I'm surprised Hunter never tried to work that out. I think him saying that he wanted to work New Japan, it was just so I guess Eve, the working relationships that we have with everybody else just wasn't good enough, So
I know that New Japan did the Liger stuff, right? They allowed Liger to come over for NXT Takeover, but I don't know if there's still sore feelings from the whole talent raid thing that they still have. So, with Hunter saying that to Brodie Lee, basically saying we'll work on it with New Japan, there had to be something in the weeds for him to say that, because if Brodie, if he said that to Brodie on intention just to have him on the hook, that makes him seem like a dick. You know what I mean? He's there's no way that you could work this out. Maybe Hunter had a inside track and was talking. Maybe because if you look at it, WWE was looking into buying Noah. They're trying to get in the Japan market, so maybe where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely something there. I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if Hunter, just personally, wanted a working relationship with New Japan and just thinking that would be, very beneficial, which it would be. And then, Brodie Lee said, hey, I would like to work with New Japan. He was just yeah, man, just something he was doing personally, working on it. He was just yeah, let me try to actually put that together. I don't think Hunter was just yeah, let's see what we can do. Yeah, idiot. No, I definitely think Triple H definitely wanted something to do with New Japan at some point.
Hunter's in the corner of the PC,
he goes up to Mark Carrano. Can you believe this idiot wants to work New Japan? How the hell, dummy? No, I definitely don't think that's the case.
And then Mark is showing him his phone. It's look at this guy calling me over and over again. Do you want to pick up? No, I don't think that's happening. You know what? Let's segue into what happened on Dynamite in that segment, okay? Because Dark Order and Brodie Lee definitely took shots at Vince McMahon, okay? The whole nobody eats, the whole steak dinner, nobody eats until I eat, and then the whole sneezing thing.
I thought the segment was very whatever, he was just saying stuff. And then when the dude sneezed and then he got pissed, Nah, that shit sent me, man. I could not stop laughing.
I mean, I thought it was a funny inside joke, but at the same time, it's like, oh man, Brodie's just going. After hearing this podcast and hearing like how like where Brodie kind of criticized him, where he's pitching creative ideas to him, also being complimentary to Vince, it was like, okay, like what?
Yeah, that seems to be the case with John Moxley as well. Like John Moxley was just like, like what everybody says, like Vince is a crazy old genius, like he does weird things. Vince is just not an ordinary guy, like as best as I can put it. And then he respected him in that regard. Like he also says that he like spoke to Vince at some point, pitched creative ideas, and he got told very nicely why those are bad ideas. And then he was just like, okay, I understand. And then he just goes on Dynamite, send shots. Or, he does, the 30 podcast that he was doing when he got released and when his contract was over. And, he was sending shots. And it was just like, the crowd that wanted him to slander the WWE definitely got what they wanted. And I think they got it here as well on Dynamite, even though that's not what they truly feel.
Oh, we're going to get to bad creative ideas in a minute. We might just skip right to it. I thought, like I said, poor QT Marshall, he got beat up here. And then they leave the Dark Order mask on him. So I don't know if he's going to join. I doubt that he would, because he's doing the whole like tag team thing with Dustin. So I mean, I think that's going to be a thing every time somebody in the Dark Order beats him. They're going to ask him to join. There are a couple of squash matches on the show. I mean, like you had Brodie Lee and then Jake Hager win in a minute against Chico Adams. I don't know. I mean, I didn't know who this guy was. There's a lot of
local talent.
Yeah, there was a lot of indie guys between Dynamite and Dark. No women's matches though. Now, okay.
I don't think any of the women live in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Especially like Hikaru Shida. I will give them a pass this week because circumstances. Maybe a lot of people, of their wrestlers are under quarantine, and you should be traveling right now, no matter how cheap the damn flights are. Like I've seen some Twitter posts saying like, "Oh my God, these flights are $30." Like, okay, you can take a $30 flight now, and then have coronavirus for 2 weeks and feel like shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe they're just taking precautions here. So I'll let that slide. I'll let it go. But you know what? Let's get right into it. So last night, Wednesday, I talked to you about the Chris Jericho and Matt Hardy segment. The segment
probably
long.
The worst segment that Dark has AEW has put together.
You might as well said it was dark. You should have been.
Probably the worst segment that AEW has put together in a really long time. I know, like a lot of AEW diehards, they're all for it, but here we call a spade a spade. Vince was right for not listening to anything that Matt Hardy had to offer, because if imagine like Buddy Murphy having to cut a promo on his stupid ass drone that he cannot, like, he bought one drone and couldn't let it go. Like he went to the Apple store, paid $400-$500 for this drone, and he was just like, I'm gonna get a return on my damn investment. So it has to be shoehorned into everything that every story that he has, like, any sort of creative control over. And then people were like really gassing up the teleportation, but it really looked like TikTok editing, which was really funny.
Yeah, it definitely looked like that was edited inside an iMovie.
Yeah. Jericho cutting the promo on Vanguard 1, that just went way too long. That, like, whatever.
Is basically, like, is Jericho, every time that somebody comes into AEW, that's a big thing. Like, Moxley, somebody like that. Is he going to pitch them to join the Inner Circle? Is that going to be a thing?
It seems like, you know, joining the Inner Circle is going to be the new Jericho meme. So I can expect him asking a lot more people to join in the future. No, this segment is horrible. I'm glad that Paul Heyman was just like, nah, get out of here, Aleister. It's not your time. It's Aleister Black's and Buddy Murphy's time. And then the stuff that what was it? When he was pitching like stuff to do with Bray Wyatt at his compound, and it was just like he's just trying to get a return on his investment, you know, like oh man, I spent a lot on this compound, so this thing is going to be shoehorned into like everything I do. And you know, I get it, like, you know, you're comfortable to work in this space because it is your home, but like I'm not trying to see that, especially when we already saw it before. Well, what was the other rumors? Like he wanted like Bray Wyatt to like work at the compound, like doing yard work and stuff like that. And I was just like, imagine seeing Bray Wyatt rake up leaves instead of seeing, you know, any of the stuff that Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe was doing with Seth Rollins and Authors of Pain, you know, or, you know, whatever his Seth Rollins and Disciples, you know, like I'm not trying to see any of that ever.
Okay, so what I did yesterday, I'm like, why did I like this broken Matt Hardy character initially? So I went back and I watched some Impact stuff, like the final deletion that he had with Jeff Hardy. The stuff that they did with Decay, with like Rosemary and Crazy Steve, and
that's for me. That's when it stopped because I didn't like that deletion.
No, I loved the final deletion with Jeff Hardy, and you know what? I love Bray Wyatt.
I like the one with Jeff Hardy. Okay. I also like the one with the tag teams. I did not like the one with Decay.
Okay.
That's when I was just like, this stuff is kind of falling downhill. And then, you know, when he brought it, like, you know, it was expected to happen in the WWE. Oh, excuse me. It was expected to happen in the WWE, but, you know, contract disputes that you read about and stuff like that. So you understand why it took so long for it to happen. And then, you know, it finally happened with Bray Wyatt, and I thought it was okay. At the most, like I never went back to watch it. Like at the time, like you could probably look up old tweets and like, yeah, you know, like the mower of lawns, like that popped me, but like not enough to buy the mower of lawns shirt that they tried to put out. Yeah.
Well, I think what happened was, like when I watched this Impact stuff, like Impact creative is just batshit crazy, and it just worked. It was just lightning in a bottle, where like. He did the whole, like, you know, speaking, like, this distinctive tongue and, like, just went crazy. And then he got Jeff into it. It was different. And then it caught on. Yeah. And, you know, even with the stuff that they did with ROH before they left, I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, the whole conquest of winning all the tag team titles. It was cool for me. And then what happened was they went to WWE. They were hinting at the delete stuff, and then they went back to kind of being the Hardys, but they were still in that dispute where Impact wouldn't let him use the stuff, and so much time passed to the point where when he was broken Matt Hardy again and doing those like promos where he, you know, there's too many promos, he's like, yeah, you know what I mean, the whole thing, I'd already passed the moment, and it's just like, oh, yeah. Like, I realized this, but like it's not as hot anymore. And I think situations and characters like that, they don't always pop off in the WWE. They pop off in Impact. Like think of The Undertaker, think of like stuff like Mordecai. That didn't work. Like that basically died within like 2 months. Think of like Heinrich.
I would say that there is a lot of Impact stuff that dies once it reaches the big stage.
Yeah.
And you know what? The deletion stuff is just one part of it. Like, you know, they happily obliged him, you know, they did it while it was hot, or, you know, as hot as it could be. They did it, and then they moved on.
It just
because, you know, the deletion stuff doesn't have much legs to it if you're not, you know, bending your back and your will to Matt Hardy and, you know, recording all the stuff at the compound, you know, putting on for Senior Benjamin, putting on his child, Wolfgang, and, you know, and it's just like that is too many resources going into this one thing that, you know, it's taking away from other and, you know, younger or newer talent, you know. Like I said this before, like I will take any of these, you know, these new up and comers and these young guys. Like I would prefer to take them over goddamn Matt Hardy vignette anytime, because nobody really talks about, like, you know, the in between, you know, where they just do a whole bunch of stuff with Senior Benjamin and you know Matt Hardy just walking around his house. Like I think that really works for Impact because, you know, you can basically record that shit in bulk, you know.
Well, I think it works for AEW too. Like, here's the thing: when I go see a Christopher Nolan movie, I know that it's going to be a certain thing. Like, I'm not going to see Judd Apatow humor in it. You got to understand that with like these characters, only certain ones hit in WWE. Broken Matt Hardy works in AEW because that's what they do. His YouTube series, they have Being the Elite. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Like, that's what their fans are looking for. Now, my problem with this is, and I said this, it's running too damn long. It was just, you know, Jericho's doing the thing with Vanguard Run 1. That was 5 minutes. I was like, okay, like, we get it. Like, he's doing, it looks like he's doing stand-up comedy and he's like dying up there. Like, he's like tripping over his monologue. Then when Matt comes down and does the whole teleport thing, they're talking and they're going over their history, and then like Matt's talking about like there's a different entity in him, like Damascus. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then, you know, the whole Jericho thing with the bad booking, I'm like, okay, great. Like, yes, you know, quintessential shot of WWE. Great, cool. Even though,
and how,
even though like,
oh, go ahead.
Even though the Hardys are like one of the greatest tag teams ever, and then Matt does the whole thing with version 1, like bad booking though. Great. But,
the fact that he comes back and then they immediately win the tag titles. You know, multiple tag team reigns. In his return, he got one with the Hardy, and then he got one with the Deleter of Worlds with his broken gimmick. But bad booking though.
Yeah, it's just the problem that AEW runs into is that these type of segments run so long. If you truncated them a little bit, then it would work a little bit better. But it just felt like, all right, man, I could have been watching this on your YouTube series. Not to end the show. Like, maybe it built up blood and guts a little bit more, but it took me out because they were just talking for like, it seemed like 15 minutes.
Yeah, when I heard it was 15 minutes, I was just like, or like 14 minutes, or just damn near too like the number that was said about how long this segment was. I was just like, that's a no for me, dog. And I just watched the YouTube version, and I would say I don't think the YouTube version is any better.
Well, I mean, like, look at the two top programs, right? You got Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho. Dependent if they face off against each other. Then you have Moxley versus Jake Hager. It's like a WWE blast from the past. Like it's like you're watching a card from SmackDown.
Yeah, basically guys that never got weird gimmicks off, face off. I don't know. I just thought, I'm not a fan of the Matt Hardy stuff, man. And the fact that he's facing Chris Jericho, I could care even less.
Well, the round out with the good, right? So, I like the Darby Allin Kip Sabian match, and I liked Kenny Omega and Sammy Guevara. Like there were two really good matches that they had on the card. Again, and I think Justin said this on the A show, like these shows are working with a lot of bare bones crews and not the certain stuff, so I have to judge them a little different. Do you find like that you have to do that too?
No. Well, for certain stuff, I understand why there's not a women's match, So I'm not really gonna harp on that or be disappointed in them for not doing that. But if I'm not enjoying the show, I'm just not enjoying the show. So I'm just gonna call it how it is. Raw and SmackDown, how they do Mania replays and stuff like that, and then people be like, "Oh man, this show was awful." And it was just like, what are you talking about? They showed you a WrestleMania match, it wasn't really a SmackDown, it was more of a clip show, which AEW wasn't. So, I'm just gonna rate it based off my enjoyment.
Well, I appreciate that both of these shows they're still trying to do some new stuff because they could just do clips, they could just do old matches, but they're trying to show new stuff.
Yeah.
I'd have no idea when, stay-at-home things are going to be lifted. I have no idea when things are going to go back to quote-unquote normal. But I appreciate that AEW and NXT are doing some stuff that,
while all these sports are dying and, these players got nothing to really do or anything like that, wrestling thrives. We got WrestleMania 30 on ESPN. We still get wrestling today. As bare bones as it might be, they probably have 3 matches, 12 people, or 8 talents on the card. It is what it is. In this time.
This week.
Oh yeah, because guess what? Everybody lives in Orlando. Yeah. They're gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do about NXT going forward, since I think they are locking down Orlando, I believe. That's starting soon. So I think I think the amount of talent that we might get is going to be a lot less, even though next week we get our very big shows.
We are getting a takeover somewhat. So these matches that were supposed to be in Takeover, they are going to be a part of NXT TV and the upcoming weeks. So we're going to get them in each NXT episode. How do you feel about that? What do you think? Do you think that was the right thing to do?
Absolutely.
Because I've heard some people saying why don't you just add these to the Mania card and.
No.
Well, Takeover is a separate thing. I wouldn't want to mix it with WrestleMania.
We joke all the time, in private and stuff like that. But and it certain guys, certain matches don't work in NXT. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano matches do not work on WrestleMania. It just doesn't. I don't know what match can you put, what match they're advocating for, but a lot of these big feuds just don't work on there. Probably I think the only one that kind of fits that would fit, in my opinion, would be the North American title. It's just going to be a big hoss battle. No, well, seemingly it's just going to be a big hoss battle, but just certain matches just don't. You already have the NXT Women's title being defended, so like, what more can you really want?
I just feel like it's a different atmosphere. Like,
and also, my fault. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
People complain every year that WrestleMania is too long, and then you're going to ask them to add takeover matches to the card, seemingly making the show 10 or 9 hours long. Come on, guys.
I mean, some of these... The Ciampa Gargano match is going to get time. That's going to get 30 minutes.
And it's only going to get time on NXT.
Yes, because people were complaining, that things weren't well paced at WrestleMania last year, right? So, like, by the time you got to the Ronda Rousey, Charlotte, Becky match, everybody was kind of done, tired. It was at midnight, I think. Mm-hmm. The apex was when Kofi won the title. So, and that's why they did Seth and Brock early, so you could get that pop. Can you imagine, like, going from a 30-minute Ciampa Gargano match and then going to, like I said, like the NXT Championship match between Rhea and Charlotte? It would die. Just because people would be, oh, man, like, bathroom break. And I'm not saying that. I think Rhea and Charlotte is going to rip. But I'm just saying, like, you have to plan these cards and temper them. If you just add a whole bunch of things, like the women's number one contenders match, for ladder match, if you just add that on to a WrestleMania card, like, how does that help anybody?
Yeah, it absolutely doesn't. People, in January, people flirted with the thought of WrestleMania being 2 nights, and now we finally have WrestleMania that's 2 nights, and now everybody hates that it's being marketed as a 2-night WrestleMania. People want to take over matches on the WrestleMania card, but I'm telling you, once April whatever hits, and they have to wake up at goddamn 1 o'clock to watch the whole damn show, they're not going to be happy, So it is what it is. I'm okay with NXT Takeover being stretched to 2 nights as well.
Can you imagine, like, WrestleMania going into, like, 1 in the morning? Like, I would have been, okay, I got a DVR at this point, or, like, I'll watch it on the network later.
Did you go to WrestleMania last year?
No. I knew that in New Jersey Transit was going to be a shit show, and I was right.
Yeah.
I was good, man.
People that got mad because they got stuck in the rain at Mania, hey, eat an ass. You knew what you were getting yourself into. When I went to WrestleMania in New Orleans, it rained after the show. Did it ruin my time? No, because my ride was right outside the building. When the show was over, and I was walking out of the building in the rain with my new purchased WWE title, and I hopped in the car and then sat in traffic for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I knew that New Jersey.
That's just the nature of the show.
First of all, like, going to MetLife, I knew that trains only ran a certain time, and I was like, WrestleMania is going to be over after midnight, so these trains aren't going to run. So I'm like, I'm good on that. I know that I'm going to get stranded trying to get back to Secaucus to get back to the main train, and
Uber surge, Lyft surge, ride surge.
People were paying like $300 for an Uber. I'm like, I'm good. I'm going to watch WrestleMania in the comfort of my own home. Technically, I did watch it in New Jersey, so I was in the vicinity of that.
Like, if, like, let's say WrestleMania comes to Miami at the Hard Rock, which I live nearby, I know how to get out. Whenever I go somewhere, I know how I'm going to leave. So if you're still mad about getting rained on a year later, get over it.
Let's get into this NXT show. Io Shirai, she is back.
Tears in my eyes. Sorry it had to be the expense of Xia Li.
Expense of Xia Li and Aaliyah.
Whatever.
Aaliyah thought that she was going to go on to the ladder match, and she was sadly mistaken because Io took
Doom, 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 doom. When she heard that, she was like, "Oh shit, say."
From what I understand, WWE Music is uploading tracks again, so upload that Io theme, please.
Please, I'm just trying to bump that one time. You feel me? That shit slaps.
So her and Candice LeRae go on to the ladder match.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cheering for Io. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just say that right here. Like, I want Io to win.
If Dakota Kai doesn't get inserted into the match, then yeah, I'm all in for Io.
We also have there was a very good Matt Riddle and Roderick Strong match at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the story there. The story is that we are finally joined by Malcolm Bivens, much anticipated, but he's with a different tag team. The names are Saurav sorry if I'm mispronouncing these wrong. Saurav Gujar and Rinku Singh.
That's fire.
Big, strong tag team. And it looks like they're going to go and challenge the Broserweights. I thought it was funny that Malcolm's team attacked Matt Riddle. It was fitting, right?
Yeah. Fantastic stuff. You know, his debut popped the world. I think Malcolm Bivens is a very unique talent. You know, getting signed to the WWE based off just being a manager alone. You know, funny dude, very entertaining dude. Finally, you know, and you know what? I think for me, at least, personally, like whenever I see Rob Stone now, I'm just gonna be more sick.
Man, that whole Rob Stone Chelsea Green thing, it ain't working for me, bud. For me personally, maybe it's working for somebody, but it's just.
I've seen Rob Stone at a live event here in Miami. He was accompanied with I believe it was Dan Mathis, the dude that Samoa Joe squashed a couple of years ago, and Riddick Moss. Interesting, you know, just heel work, you know, you're what was it like? What was his stick? It was just like, you know, like I'm here with like the biggest, strongest men in NXT, blah blah blah, this and that, and then you know they lose. It was whatever.
I don't know.
Like even the person I was with was just like, yo, his suit sucks.
I mean, I guess we'll see him in a couple weeks because Chelsea's in the match. So.
Oh, but will he be at ringside? Is the question, because.
Well, hopefully,
I think they want to mitigate.
Well, hopefully, Io will go ahead and take him out or something like that. They'll go do some moonsault, or, you know, and
yeah,
they'll do a spot there. You know who I'm really high on? Austin Theory. And
all day.
Man, he had a good match with Tyler Breeze. I like.
Where does cocky character come from? Because
it felt like it came out of nowhere.
Because dog, you got your ass smacked by Ciampa, and then you know you beat Isaiah Swerve Scott, but you kind of have to be on a real winning streak to get that kind of hubris and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a little weird. I'm glad that Tyler Breeze did get the win here. You know, it just shows that he has much to learn here in NXT. Hopefully, I didn't think they would. I guess he had to play heel in the match. I guess because I didn't think Tyler Breeze was.
Yeah, Austin Theory was definitely the heel. With the whole him doing, you know, the
I'm the future.
I'm the future thing.
Yeah.
He was definitely the heel. So I think they're leaning into him. He's definitely good, man. Like Austin Theory,
he's really
like,
good.
Somebody I didn't get to watch a lot of him in Evolve, but I'm liking what I'm seeing here, even though he's losing.
I've seen like I've seen his match against Kyle O'Reilly. Thanks to the WWE partnership. I didn't like the match that he had with JD Drake at the Evolve anniversary show. I wasn't a big fan of that match. I believe I want to believe I've seen clips of Austin Theory versus Velveteen Dream, but that might just be a memory that I just inserted right now.
Maybe we should check that out for like the next episode of War Report if it's out there. I'll search for it and then we'll check it out. I'm gonna let you talk about Killian Dane for a little bit because
in this time where there is no one in the crowd, the crowd is very silent, and it's not, there's not like a really high atmosphere going on, which, I sort of enjoy without the weird chance of Full Sail going crazy. But at this time of uncertainty and, during this pandemic, why the fuck would you put a Killian Dane match on TV that goes longer than 5 minutes?
Okay, it went 3 minutes. But
felt a lot longer than that. Really took him a long time to put, I don't want to call him a jobber because, he lasted a pretty long time in there without Killian Dane playing with his food. But why?
You were not a fan of Killian Dane.
Hey, man. Pete Dunne said, I do not care about Killian Dane. And I felt that with my whole heart. Because I'm just not with it. I don't want to see it anymore.
I just feel like he's one of these in-between guys in NXT that, will probably move to Raw or SmackDown soon. That just will be kind of... I don't know.
I don't think he's going back up.
Damn. I feel like he's going to be one of those middle of the card guys there. I really do.
My thing is that he let me be for real here, is that I'm just personally not a big fan of his work, and he's currently in that Cassius Ohno position.
Yeah, I agree.
But I like Cassius Ohno 1,000 times better than I like Killian Dane. I just like the way that Cassius Ohno works, the knockout artists and stuff like that. So, somebody being in Cassius Ohno's position and not being as good as Cassius Ohno kind of bothers me a bit. Or, I just don't really care for it.
Well, Cassius Ohno is over in NXT UK as, the cocky, crafty veteran that, basically tries to, take out the new guys. And I like that he has that role there. They need somebody there who takes...
Yeah, he's definitely needed over there, which I kind of hate because we have to deal with Killian Dane here.
Oh, jeez. So, Keith Lee and Dominic Dijakovic. Damian Priest has a very Thanos, Alucard-like voice. He's
it's very deep, and he talks like this, and it's kind of slow. Hey man, let him voice like a Decepticon, bro. I feel like that shit'll go crazy.
He's like, my name will live on forever.
Yeah,
he wants the title
Throw
because
him.
all the money and the girls that come with it. You know what I mean? He's very Kratos type.
Hey man, he about his paper, and I can't hate on that.
Can't hate on it at all. So next week, they're gonna have a triple threat, and I guess that we'll do predictions. You know what? Let's do this prediction now because it's gonna happen next week. Who do you think wins?
Well, we don't know how the shows are gonna get divided up, but I think Keith Lee keeps it.
No, it's divided up. Okay, so next week you get Velveteen Dream and Bobby Fish, and then a second chance gauntlet with all the prior losers of the women's match to try to get that final spot of the women's ladder match. So, hey, Dakota can still
Let's
get
go,
in.
Dakota.
It's not going to be Aaliyah. I don't think so. And then Keith Lee, Dominic, and Damian for the North American title next week.
Okay, Keith Lee.
Yeah, I think Keith Lee wins. Like, it'd be weird for them to like build up Keith and then all of a sudden him drop it to Dom or Damian. Even though I do think Damian's going to get it down the road. Because he wants,
He's going to have to drop it at some point.
The cars and the clothes.
And the hose. The hose.
I suppose. That was very...
He just wants to be successful, man.
We just did a Morrow thing right there. So, how do you feel about Papa H basically chastising Johnny Gargano and Ciampa? And do you buy?
I think it's.
Do you buy?
I think it was great.
Do you think that it's going to be the last time that they fight in NXT?
Yeah, it will be the last time, like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. What was it at Battleground? The last fight for it all, which is a fantastic match. I think I might watch that later. I liked it. I liked the segment a lot because he does kind of like address like how, you know, like I won't say like parodying him and Sean, but you know, them putting their careers on the line or just, you know, putting what's best for them, you know, disregarding what's best for them to just beat the shit out of each other. Like, I think that's fantastic. Like, I turned NXT off after EO came on because I thought Candice LeRae was going to win anyway. I had to just like watch it all back yesterday on YouTube. But I saw people on Twitter saying like, "Oh, they're going to like get WrestleMania. Why'd they blow that?" Do you not understand the story that's being told to you right now? These guys hate each other. They don't care about WrestleMania. They're literally putting their careers on the line to destroy each other. Yes, blowing like I think, you know, people reacting that way is probably like the best reaction possible. Like, you don't understand the story that's being told to you right now.
Listen, Johnny Gargano has an axe to grind because this guy, you know, Ciampa has basically stabbed him in the back over and over again, and then with Ciampa
became a crowd favorite.
Yeah, Ciampa became a crowd favorite, and also, like, Gargano cost him the title. There is bad blood here. And you know, Gargano mentioned, like, we were supposed to have this, but, like, Ciampa got hurt. He hurt his neck. So it makes sense to have this for the final time. Like, I'm okay with it.
Like, I can understand people not being excited to see this again, but, If I definitely think it's going to be the last time in NXT. I for sure believe this. I definitely think there is a lot of talent on the NXT card, or, you know, just like the roster in general, to keep these guys apart for a very long time. Yeah, and please. You know, it's WrestleMania season, so you don't know who might not get the call up, or, you know, who, depending how deadly this match gets, you know. Who will be taking as much time off as possible, you know? So I'm excited for the match. I think people hate it, but when they see it, it's going to be something special.
Final thing, though. All those odd videos that were happening to round out NXT, it was Killer Cross.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm excited. I know that the guy is great on the mic. He's a great wrestler, too. I'm excited for him to go on NXT. I think that he's going to be their next big wrestler that they have. Like, the guy that you see that is going to get built up and dominate NXT for a while, I think it's going to be Killer Cross.
Yeah. That's going to stink because eventually, like, there's going to be, like, well, God knows, but, like, there's gonna be a point in time where, like, creative or just booking is gonna have to choose between Austin Theory or Killer Cross. I mean, well, whatever his name might be. So, damn, that's gonna suck because I do see big things for Austin Theory. Maybe Maybe he gets put into the North American title scene because that seems to be where the big men play.
He could do that, and then you can have him with the cruiserweight title too with Jordan Devlin. That would be a really good match that they could do down the road. Like Jordan, whenever he's able, you know, everybody's on travel lockdown right now, but whenever he's able to come back down here, like they could do that match.
Yeah, Austin Theory. Yeah, Austin Theory can go do that. Man, he a big dude. I don't know if he's I don't know if he's less than 205, but like he could slim down if he needed to. But like cool stuff. If I had to choose between seeing Killer Cross versus Gargano or Ciampa, I would say Ciampa, honestly.
I would say Ciampa because they're both crazy.
Yeah, I think Ciampa's a little more ruthless in his offense, so we'll probably see a different kind of match. I think with Gargano will be more technical.
Yes, sir.
Which I don't want to see that. I like my violence, man.
That's our show for this week. As always, you can follow us at RNT Radio Live on Twitter and Instagram, all our feeds on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. We have a new episode of First Responders. They talk about the Weeknd's new album, which Cyrus and I have been playing a lot.
Classic. It's a classic.
Manny also has a basically a stay-home version of I Am Not a Genius that's out as well. We have the season finale of The Lookout. We talk about the Demon Slayer Season 1. We also have, of course, the A Show. They talk about Part 1 of the Dark Side of the Ring Chris Benoit documentary. If you watch Part 2, it's a tough watch, I'll say. Like, it's that whole story is heartbreaking. Yeah, man. I don't even, you know, what can be said that hasn't been said already, you know?
I see a lot of people talking about Dark Side of the Ring. Personally, I'm, like, it's a very jarring story to me. I don't like to hear about the Chris Benoit story, so I don't plan on watching the documentary. Like, it like, the story makes me very uneasy, so I'm just not gonna watch.
Also have a new episode of the Big Eyes podcast. Talks about the return of Goku, Dragon Ball Super. Got a new episode of Recalling Saul, and new episode of Spot Callers where Cyrus is joined by Manny, and they talk about Zona 23's Bloodsport. I saw that GIF that you guys put on that show, and I immediately watched that match. I don't know how that lady got up from that, but she did. So
they got me and Mark went to we watched the show since RSPN is kind of closing, definitely with the closure of the NBA or just like the postponing of the games. It was a very fun watch because I don't think Mark has ever watched like deathmatch outside of probably like a ECW, but like watching that match was very getting his take on that match was very fun. And the match is free on YouTube. I believe I provided a link for everybody to watch, and it got retweeted by RNT Radio Live on Twitter. So please follow that. Watch the match. It was all fun.
That does it for us. Stay your asses at home and listen next week.